And you're welcome back. It's time to get started on our big story today. And it's one of a looming crisis that started over the week, and it's fuel scarcity. Now, the heart of the crisis is the federal government's 100 billion debt in bridging claims owed to petroleum marketers and road transporters who distribute fuel across Nigeria. Marketers and tanker drivers are citing delayed payments, operational difficulties, and government inaction as reasons for the ultimatum, which is a 7-day ultimatum that was issued by the Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria, threatening disruptions if their concerns are not addressed. With fuel queues already resurfacing in some parts of the country, the situation is once again sparking fears of economic paralysis. So as Nigeria braces for potential fuel shortages, and the big question here remains, can the government avert the crisis before it spirals out of control? Now, reports indicate that there's growing frustration over alleged harassment of tanker drivers as well by security agencies and worsening transportation logistics. And so to discuss this in detail, we're joined by two analysts to help us just give us a bit of critical development and analysis on the critical development and what it would mean for the average Nigerian. The first, we're joined by Ukadike Chinedu. He's the National Publicity Secretary of IPMAN, which is the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. And also joining us is Yusuf Othman. He's the National President of the Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Yusuf, let's just get started. I was going to ask you, the tanker drivers, you are the National President of the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Road Transport Owners, road owners. So I have to ask you, the tanker drivers and the fuel transporters are reportedly being harassed by security operatives. In fact, we know that our maritime correspondent has done a fantastic job giving, there was a protest and an action that was taken by members of NARTO. So can you give us specific examples of what exactly is happening across the Apapa corridor and just freighting fuel and petroleum products across Nigeria? Mr. Yusuf.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
There were some skirmishes over the last weekend, and we had a lot of issues. We have a tripartite agreement between my own Maritime Workers Union, NATO, and Amato, wherein we operate within the ports in Apapa. But most recently, there was a task force created by the Ministry of Transport, Lagos State, with a view to ensure smooth operations into the ports. However, such was not smooth because so many of our vehicles were, towed, and some drivers arrested, and all effort to ensure sanity proved abortive. But luckily, yesterday we had a meeting with the Ministry of Transport, and the Commissioner was there, Transport, SA, Sholagiwa, the Permanent Secretary, the Executive Secretary, National Shippers Council, MPA, and all the relevant agencies were there. I was physically there in Lagos yesterday, and fruitful discussions were held. The proposed suspension of operations was shelved. Everybody was brought on board, and a committee was created for ease of business within the Apapa corridor. And there was the promise that going forward, things will not be done the way they did hastily, arrest drivers, arrest vehicles. Everybody was told to come on board to ensure. You see, the problem we observe is that most of these operators working, task force working under Ministry of Transport Lagos, they just think as Lagos just a small environment. As far as we're concerned, the operators, Lagos ports or Apapa is an international hub wherein international activities take place. People all over the world ship in goods to the ports, and they are expected to be cleared within a certain time frame. So we should be seen to operate internationally. Unfortunately, the operators or some of the few decision makers in the ministry, they just look at Lagos just a small, environment. And we don't look at, so these are some of the issues we discussed, and I believe everybody understood where the problem was coming. We should look at Lagos as an international hub. People coming from all strata of, life and all corners of the world to exercise their franchise. So whatever decision is taken, whatever action is taken by any task force or anything, should be done in an international, approach, international manner. You don't just come and see a vehicle on the road for certain reasons. You just come and say, okay, you are going to tow it. There are supposed to be certain time frame within which you should, if you want this vehicle to be towed, give certain time frame, which is about 72 hours, for the owner or whoever to come and clear the vehicle. Will not just come and say, okay, you are going to tow it, and you bring your own vehicle, and when you bring the vehicle, you charge 500,000 naira just to tow it somewhere. It's not done anywhere. Just go to Benin Republic, Cotonou, see how they do their port operations. I don't know why some people don't copy.
Mr. Othman, now, Mr. Othman, from what you're noting currently, you're saying that this issue is birthing from the interference of other authorities into the system that already is at the ports there, where the trucks are being towed. So this seems to be the primary grievance of the truck owners. Am I correct, sir?
Yes, you see the intentions.
Now, sir, I just wanted to confirm that. Now that that is confirmed, how easy has it become for these truck owners, or generally to do business when it comes to freighting diesel or petrol in Nigeria? What are the burdens that this places on the truck owners or the drivers themselves?
You see, this is the worst time in my life as a transporter, and especially petroleum product. Let's come back to petroleum product transportation. This is the worst possible time we find ourselves. One, the vehicles are very expensive. Spare parts are very expensive. And so we call it investment. There is no return on investment. And nobody seems to appreciate what anybody is doing. And now, okay, fuel, about more than 50% of fuel that is consumed in the country comes from Lagos. Our fuel today is distributed 100% by trucks. Now these trucks, they are under intense pressure, the drivers and the owners. Just today, March 1st, there is a plan for call-up in Apapa corridor, wherein they expect that they will charge each vehicle 12,500 before it flies the road, in addition to other expenses that we incur for so many reasons. Now, also, I understood Ogun State government is going to install a toll gate from when you are coming from Epe, coming down. I understand also that there may be a toll gate from Osun State. There may be a toll gate from Oyo State, Kwara State, and down. And in all these things, no support to the owner of the vehicle, no increased income, even the drivers also get beaten. And let me also tell you one more difficult and painful experience. When you load a vehicle either from Dangote refinery or from Apapa or from Ejegun, and you are coming down to Ibadan or Gere, there is nowhere resting point for a driver just to rest or pee. Look at the queue of Lagos. You can't park and pee. You can't park and change tire, puncture. Lagos, last mile will catch you, you pay 180,000. God bless you if the vehicle is towed before, you pay 400,000 for using the crane. So imagine this kind of experience. Imagine this. How can you operate in such a difficult environment? This is mad inhumanity to man. There's nowhere in the world where...
All right, Mr. Uthman, let me pause you there. I'm being told that we have Mr. Ukadike joining us right now. Mr. Ukadike, if you're there, I would like you to please indicate, please, if I'm correct. All right, Mr. Ukadike, I'm being told that we have you already. Please, about the ultimatum that was issued by IPMAN, could you please give us a detailed, well, itemized demands that were asked for inside of this ultimatum? Mr. Ukadike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I think that's a
yes, sir.
Network drift.
Yeah, so go ahead with the question. Go ahead and ask us, rather tell us about the key demands that are within this ultimatum that was put out, this 7-day ultimatum put out by IPMAN. What are the details of it?
Hold on. You have a very poor network here.
All right, Mr. Ukadike, I think we still having issues with your connection. We'll perhaps come back to you.
Now, earlier, Mr. Othman, as we try to fix the connection there with Mr. Ukadike Chinedu, Mr. Othman, you're talking about just the conditions that the drivers have to face, no rest stops, and just how, you know, the economic issues or the downturn in our economic situation have sort of raised up the cost of doing business for tanker drivers and just the road transporters in general. But when you now throw in, you know, the NARTO and the tanker drivers and the tankers and the trailers being the nerve of our fuel distribution, and now having to face this issue, you talked about the collaboration that, and you know, at the stakeholders and trying to find a lasting solution to the problem. Please, would you help us to itemize these issues that was being raised and the solutions that were also itemized to address them, just a bit of more details for us?
Well, some of these issues related to the ports, especially the Apapa ports, those were the issues discussed, and principally the e-collar even. According to the SA, to the governor, there were some abuses of the e-collar by some of the operators and also some of the people from the MPA, because ordinarily you have to queue up through the collar system to be able to access the ports. And there are some people who access the ports as essential service, so they bypass the e-collar always able to have a fast track. And by the time you get into the port, there may not necessarily be enough space for you, so people take undue advantage. So those are some internal problems which could be arrested immediately. But our main concern is the issue of towing vehicles, beating drivers, arresting. If you have issues as regards the truck operation, we believe should be informed, and necessary time should be given to us. If there is any vehicle that's idle or whatever, necessary hours should be given for it to clear. You see, because we operate under strenuous environment, meaning that sometimes you come and you be keen, or you can have puncture, you can have, because of the heat, overheating. Naturally, every transport operation has its own issues, and they should be factored. Everywhere in the world they are factored. I just gave you an example. If you live from a Apapa port, or even that's I'm talking about the FPA facility, or even depots, fuel depots, there's nowhere you can have park arrest as a driver. It does not happen. Once you park, okay, they have already gotten money. They want to come and collect 180,000 naira, and they will tow it. They will collect 400,000. So even if you want to tow it, allow us to use our towing vehicle. They said no. They want it because it's a source of income to them. So how can we operate like that? But I assure you, we had a very nice meeting yesterday, and so all the stakeholders were on board. And so many, I do not want to just come out and give the nitty-gritty because I'm not a spokesperson, but I believe sanity is being restored in that area. Now, our own other area is the e-collar for the fuel in Lekki, which was supposed to start today. going by His Excellency the Governor meant well, we also mean well. We do not want the prior gridlock in Apapa to translate to Lekki. So we are on board to ensure there is smooth operation in terms of queuing up to fuel at Lekki Zone, good operations, but the cost is what we are not keen in for. And we are going to follow it to any length. I've just told you, apart from this cost of 4,500 that was proposed, which we do not accept, there is another cost of tolling in Ogun State and all these things. So, and all these things we look to increase, of course, import price.
Okay.
And it's not for the good of everybody.
Mr. Othman, my apologies. I'm going to have to pause you once again because I'm being told that we have Mr. Ukadike Chinedu back with us again. Mr. Ukadike, I had asked from earlier regarding the ultimatum that was put out and the details, the key details of this ultimatum. Please, I'm hoping that your network is good now so that you could tell us the details of that ultimatum.
And thank you, Mr. President, NARTO President, for giving an insight of actually what happened. You know, it is very pertinent at this point that government policies should also have a human face, and there should be, you know, consultation and implementation process. The problem we are having in this country is that the government might mean well by kind of their policies or the laws they enact, but the implementation policies and the implementation process becomes a very big, huge, you know, problem, because the people they are using to do this implementation might not be trained staffs and might not be able to add diplomacy to whatever they are doing. And if you look at IPMAN stand in this matter, you will find out that we're also trying to protect the masses. If you agree to pay $450,000 for towing a vehicle, invariably that cost will go back to the sales of petroleum product at the retail pumps. Because whatever expenses you incur in line with this deregulation, you must have to add it up to be able to sell you know, your product and make a little margin. So all these things boils down on IPMAN. Whatever amount of money is IPMAN members that pay them, and some NATO members who independently own trucks. So we cannot just fold our arms and see this kind of menace in the industry. And for us to be able to co-opt it, we have to bring in some little measures and also draw the attention of government, you know, towards such policies, and also find out how we can be able to, you know, close the gap, especially in terms of communication.
Now, Mr. Ukadike, I appreciate your response. Mr. Ukadike, I appreciate your response, but we are very curious regarding the key demands in this ultimatum, the 7-day ultimatum put out by IPMAN.
Yeah, the demand is actually what Mr. President have already, you know, elaborated. The most important thing is that this money and harassment by officials and even security agencies should stop forthwith. That is the one of the demand. And another demand is that this money that is being levied on marketers and transporters should also stop forthwith. Let us sit down and look at the operational costs and see what people can pay. Taxes should have human face. You don't put taxes and rates or penalty, you know, just to withhold people from operating and truncate the distribution of petroleum products. That is the essence of the demand. Let us have a sort of control and also be part of what government policies and implementation process. That is the sense of this ultimatum.
Well, Mr. Ukadike, I needed you to say that as the National Secretary of IPMAN so that we could actually have that on from the horse's mouth standpoint. Thank you very much. Now, sir, regarding the bridging claims, the bridging issue, the federal government has said that it will pay 100 billion naira in bridging claims soon. How confident is IPMAN that the government will make good on its promise?
The the federal government assured us in a meeting, in a brief meeting we had, in an interim meeting we had with them, that they are going to look into these breaching crimes, and also reiterated that the amount is not up to 100 billion. So we decided to allow them give us the actual figure and give us the template of clearing this bill, because this bill have it's a backlog of millions of naira slashed in the federal government purse for years, which was inherited from a Petroleum Equalization Fund. So marketers, like my president have said before, marketers have incurred a lot of costs maintaining their trucks, even including this period of bad roads. So it is important that this money is being paid back so that marketers can be able to maintain their trucks and see how they can also to bring in new fleets into this process to deliver petroleum products nationwide. So we had an interim meeting, and they also promised us that in the next 2 weeks to come back, they will now give us the modalities, how this money is going to be paid, and the actual amounts, because reconciliation is going on, the actual amounts that are supposed to be paid to marketers. So that was why we now stand down, and also engage the federal government on this conversation. So hopefully, by next week, we'll also come back here to be able to, inform the public whether this money has been paid, or whether a total amount of money that was supposed to be paid. But marketers vehemently, I want to repeat myself, that marketers vehemently has complained that this money is long overdue. And whatever government is transitional, even if it's PEF, since NNDPR, who is a policeman of the industry, has taken over this issue, they should be able to act swiftly and pay off this debt so that marketers can bounce back in terms of ensuring energy security.
Now, when there are talks of an ultimatum and an ultimate action at the end, what happens is that there's always hoarding. Is there any talks within the marketers so that at least the end users, and that's the road users, are able to access and get the fuel, and there's no scarcity? Because scarcity will loom. We're seeing the queues on the roads. We're seeing people on the streets at all filling stations, whether it's here in Lagos. I can only imagine what's like now that we're in this, the commercial hub, which is the commercial capital of Nigeria. What more for those who are on the outskirts, the outer part of Lagos and other states? So what happens with hoarding and marketers? Is there any communique within your organization to the other marketers outside to at least still sell and not hoard despite the ultimatum?
Yeah, we have a very good channel of communication, very strong one indeed, that within some few minutes we can be able to disseminate information, and our marketers will comply. We in the National Executive Council, led by Alhaji Abubakar Megandi, we are committed in ensuring that whatever policies and actions will do, it will not affect Nigeria, and it won't sabotage the country economically. So we have looked at it with clear eyes and crystal clear with genuineness in the discussion we had with the DPR, and decided to communicate back to our marketers to stand on these strike actions. We don't want Nigerians to suffer. This is the last bet of what we normally use to draw the government's attention, and we can't just dive into strike action without the reasonable conviction that government is not acting or government is not taking serious of our demands. So now that they have given us a proxy confirmation that they are already working on these issues before this our demand. So we have to stand down to shave this unnecessary hardship that you are talking about.
Unnecessary hardship, indeed.
This demand, this information.
I mean, unnecessary hardship, indeed, you put it rightfully, because one of the reasons why they touted for, or I mean, critics and analysts and stakeholders alike, like yourself, clamored for decentralization of the petroleum sector was such that fuel crisis and scarcity itself be eliminated totally. But why does problems like this continue to persist?
Well, we are downstream players. We are at the receiving end of government policies. And once there is government policy, we'll try as much as possible to be able to review it and also implement. Whatever that will bring further crisis, there is availability of petroleum product now, adequate availability of petroleum product. The only problem we're having now is distribution, and which Mr. President, the NATO President have also said that over 90% of trucks is used to distribute petroleum product nationwide. So we will not be able to do anything that will truncate the distribution chain. So that is why I clearly stated that our actions must be very, very reasonable and must have to be looked into before we pull our services. And once we pull our services, it is not IPMAN. IPMAN is a kind of an umbrella body that will house all the stakeholders. Every stakeholder is involved, including NATO, Lupen, BTD, and other members. And all. This money is being owed, generally. So it is not actually because IPMAN gave an ultimate. It is not concerned. It's not only concerned, but IPMAN is the proposition vehicle to be able to press this demand, because 70% of this money that is being owned are owned directly to independent marketers.
Okay. Well, Mr. Ukadike Chinedu, I want to say thank you very much, Secretary for IPMAN, Publicity Secretary, and of course, Mr. Yusuf Othman, thank you very much, President NARTO. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, we hope that the fuel queues don't last too long and that this clears off real soon, because, I mean, we're going through enough already as Nigerians. Thank you, gentlemen.